All right, what's up, guys? It's me, Doxy from the Doxcast. This week, I'm doing something a little bit differently. I don't have a guest this week, which I usually and always have had, but for some things that I cannot control and for some reasons that are not necessarily my fault, some guests have been sick, some have pulled out, some have stopped replying, but I've actually felt like I have the blessing of being able to shoot today with a solo episode. Yes, I could have easily hit up one of my mates to come back on for the podcast like I have done in the past, but in my personal life, which I'm about to answer some of these things that I've been thinking of recently in my life, I figured this is the best opportunity for me to be able to sit down, yarn by myself and get some things off my chest, all right? And if by any chance you're new here and this happens to be, which is pretty unlikely, the first episode you've stumbled across, yes, every single week I sit down with someone new and someone interesting. I reach out to people off Instagram. I hit people up that I just find curiousness about what they're doing, whether it's the sports they do. I have had a lot of fighters and athletes and business owners and people in content creation, people who are just out there striving to do something that I'm not necessarily too familiar with or something that I actually do find interesting. Absolutely anyone and everyone. I love sitting down and having a conversation with. And most importantly, I love sitting down with my friends and my family. I have done probably the first 60 or 70 episodes with just people in my personal life, begging and calling and just going through the rounds of every single person that I love speaking to and saying, come get one of these conversations on camera. And it has been honestly for the first 60, 70 episodes, such a blessing. But since then, for the next 60, 70, 80 episodes, it has been mostly people that I have reached out to and met online. And it has been a fantastic journey so far doing this podcast. And I'm not about to stop now. This episode is out for Monday, just as it has been. Welcome to Doxcast episode 148 with just Jake Doxy. Okay. There's a lot of things that I do want to get off my chest for this episode. There's just some stuff that I've been thinking about, things in my personal life, maybe some things that I've been playing on the idea of as well. But I'll start off by saying a little bit about what's been happening lately. And I just came back from Dubbo. I've been living away. I've been doing some working away. If you know me, you know what I do for work. Living away is something that I do find myself doing quite often, but this week in particular is the reason why I want to talk about it, because a lot of things were on my mind through this week. But what I do for a trade is I'm a refrigeration and air conditioning mechanic. I travel all around Australia, not necessarily all of Australia, but in the close vicinities to Sydney, New South Wales, Queensland, Melbourne, places like that. And I make things cold, realistically. That's what I do. Even though technically now I'm a first-year apprentice again, I'm starting another trade, doing an electrical course as well. I still work as much as I can and being able to help out on the tools as a refrigeration air conditioning mechanic, and then as much work as I can do as an electrician, I take that opportunity to be able to learn that trade at the same time. Recently, as I said, was down in Dubbo. It was a good week. Realistically, it was a great week, if I'm going to be honest with you. I have done many stints in all different places. I have been down in Canberra for a long period of time, Newcastle. I've been in Wollongong. I did a few months ago. I did Queensland for a little bit of time as well. And it's a whole different experience living away. If you have ever experienced it or you feel like you may have the opportunity to, then you'll understand this. If you're someone who maybe works in a bit like a remote location, maybe you work from home, maybe you do a bit more of a stationary factory kind of job as well, this might not apply to you. But living away is a whole new experience. And I really want to make this clear. Your whole experience when it comes to living away is basically built around who you go living away with, you know? If, by the way, while I'm talking and doing this podcast, I don't really know where I'm looking. This is a brand new camera. I'll get into that in a minute. So I'm about to talk about the brand new cameras and the setup that I've got, but I'm kind of just finding a spot and I'm trying to look at that. So when you go living away, you usually have a group of lads. You get a house together. If you don't get a house and everyone's just in their own motels, believe me, it's a terrible experience. Invest in actually getting a house for you guys to share. Who you go away with pretty much defines how the week's going to be, the month's going to be, the 6 months is going to be. Who you go away with does play every part in this. If you're going away with a group of lads and there is any negativity, if there is sucking, complaining, there is just down attitudes, there is anger, frustration. Put it this way, if you're digging a hole and you might be doing this, you might be digging for 8 hours a day, but there's another lad next to you digging the same size hole. If he is encouraging, if he's fun to being around, if he's cracking jokes, if he's being optimistic, if he's encouraging, even if he's just digging his fucking heart out for 8 hours per day, it will make you and your experience of digging your own hole so much better. All right. But if that person was doing any sign of trait in the opposite direction, it will drag you down. If he's just complaining about the fact that he's at dick holes, if he's being lazy, if he's just being discouraging, believe me, your hole will not get dug as fast, as productively, and you will not have as good of a time digging that hole as possible. The same aspect can just be stretched out and applied to living away and working in a group scenario. And I've always known this, and I've always been very careful about who it is that I spend my time with when I am living away and if I want to go do that job particular or not. But I had a big realization, and that's that I have a massive role to play in this as well. If you're a part of that crew, then it's your attitude that's going to determine how everyone else's attitude is going to be as well. And it is entirely the perspective of each individual to make sure that everyone else has a good time in order for you to have a good time as well. You have to be generous, you have to be offering, you have to be positive, and as I said, encouraging as much as possible. Because I tend to find myself getting inside my own head a lot. I do struggle with empathy, and I am constantly trying to work on it. And I believe in my head sometimes that like, man, I've got a lot of shit that I'm missing out on by being away, you know? I have a lot of commitments when it comes to training and gym and editing and content and my own personal life and all these things. But realistically, everyone's giving up the exact same thing. And yes, I know that, but people are giving up a lot more things than I am. I am a single lad with no real responsibilities outside of myself. But there's a lot of lads that I go living away with that are giving up time with their partners, whether it be their girlfriends or their fiancés or their wives, or especially their kids. And they're sacrificing all that, which is way greater than what I'm sacrificing. So I feel like, yes, I have a massive responsibility if I'm ever going to go living away to play the part of the fun person to be around, and definitely someone that you want to be sharing a house with. Given that, I do find myself constantly to get homesick when I'm living away, and if you've experienced it, you might understand it as well, but being away from my routines and my lifestyles and the things that I'm comfortable with, you know, and the sacrifices that you give up might not necessarily be as big as kids and families and pets and all these things. And you might just be giving up your favorite restaurant that you go to every single Wednesday. You might be giving up the classes that you go attend or teach. You might be giving up just the route that you're used to driving for work. There are so many things that we find comfort in relation to in our everyday lives. And by spending some time away doing tasks that you necessarily aren't choosing to do, you're sacrificing just as much as the next person. So I do beat myself up. I do get hard on myself, and I do find myself getting homesick. And I think one of the main reasons is about that is that I pretend that my life exists outside of wherever I am. I do find a lot of attachment to the place that I train, or the bed that I sleep in, or the desk that I use to make content or do my editing or do my research or do my reading or whatever it might be. But I'm going to take a massive step forward next time I go away to just understand that everything that is in my life has nothing to do with the room I'm in. It's to do with the choices I'm choosing to make to be able to live the life. So any gym will do, any restaurant will do, any food. And I do these things. Believe me, I'm still going to train. I'm still going to eat. I'm still going to do all these things. But I'm longing and I'm calling and I'm hoping and I'm begging to get back to the places I'm familiar to do these things in. And I think that it does make my time living away a little bit more draining and a little bit more frustrating. And I do get a bit more homesick in that regard. So it's just something that I've been thinking of a lot lately when it comes to living away. And there has been some long stints. What I've just done now was just a week. It might have been one of the most homesick weeks I've ever experienced, and it was a place that I've been to many times. I was in Dubbo. I've probably spent well over a year or two of my life in Dubbo. I know the place probably better than the suburb I'm living in now, realistically. But I don't know. I was just begging to fucking get back home. I think the calling for the future didn't make me feel as present as I probably could have been in the moment. And it's another thing that I wanted to bring up during this episode to talk about as well. And that's the chapter in which everything is. To make it make sense, there was a time in my life where I was going down to Canberra for some living away. I was down there for, I think the job was a total of like 6-8 months or something like that. And I remember leading up to this job, I was understanding of how much I was giving up. I was in a very comfortable place in my life. I had a relationship that I was thriving in, and I could see a massive potential future. I had a routine that I was comfortable with. I had a schedule that I was set to when it came to training and eating and learning and research and growing and everything in the world of self-development and fun. I had people that I would see on a consistent basis, and this is when we'd train, this is when we'd eat, this is when we'd go out. Life was so good, and I knew going away and living in Canberra for half a year or so was going to throw an entire spanner in the works, and I felt like I was giving up a lot by going and doing so. But I understood one thing, and I told myself this before I left. I told myself, this is going to be a chapter. There's going to be the chapter for the rest of my life moving forward now where I look back on the time that I spent living with those lads in particular that I lived with in Canberra, in the house, or multiple houses, whatever it was, while we were there. And realistically, I have not lived away with these lads ever again. That was the only time I'd ever done it with that crew. And to be honest, I haven't even lived in Canberra since that opportunity either. So I was aware of this going in, and I knew at a potential later date in the future, inevitably, whenever that might be, it could be in a year, it could be in 5, it could be in 10, it could be in 30. There was going to become a time where I looked back at the time that I spent in Canberra as a chapter of my life. And did I want that chapter to be a good or a bad experience? Because I knew that, I went in and tried to be as present as possible and, appreciate every moment of it for what it was. I knew that these lads were just like every other lads. Don't get me wrong, this particular crew was a hectic crew. I had some fucking G's with me. But everyone has their flaws. Everyone gives people reasons to complain, and you're living in a house with other people and sharing things, and people are up at different times, and there's noises in times you don't expect it. You have to find the new places to train, and you're up too late sometimes, and you're not eating the food you want to eat, and the fucking kitchen stops working, and it's like there's so many things that go wrong, but I appreciated every possible moment I could because I knew at one point I'd look back at what that time was, and that was a fucking good chapter of my life. And I think that was all to do with the attitude that I had moving into it. And the same kind of principle gets applied to the week that I just had in Dubbo. I did it in Queensland earlier this year, and I definitely did it again this week. I didn't want to go. I had fucking shit to do. I got behind on a lot of my things. I wasn't caught up to date. I had, I almost considered not going, realistically, even though I committed to it and I knew I was going to do it. And I made the most out of what it was. And I look back, and no matter how fucking cold it was, and no matter how miserable, no matter how fucking cracked and dry my lips are right now, no matter how many things I found to complain about it, if I wanted to look at it from a negative lens, this week was a good week. And realistically, this week was a great week. And that was the chapter in Dubbo and what that week was with the crew that I did it with. And I'm more than appreciative for it. And I feel like that same principle, I could be applying it more in my life to different scenarios. And I feel like realistically, a lot of people can too. You know, there's a fucking mad scene that I'm always referring to from The Office, the show The Office, season 9, episode 23. I think it's the very, very last episode. I think it's called the finale. But there's a scene where Andy Bernard, who's a character in the show, he says this very, very famous quote. And it's something along the lines of, when I was in college, I used to look back at high school and think of all the great times I had. And I used to think, fuck, they were the good old days. And then when I left college and I started working in a full-time job, I looked back at my times in college and I thought the exact same thing. And now that I've left this current place I'm working and I've been somewhere else, I look back at the time I spent working in this office and I think they were the good old days. I wish there was a time to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. And fuck, that quote hit deep. It hit so fucking deep because that's so fucking true. I look back at high school and I think to myself, like, fuck, they were the good old days. And I look back to the early days of working in fast food like Hungry Jack's and Red Rooster and these other franchise restaurants, and I think to myself, like, fuck, they were the good old days. It didn't matter how much lack of sleep I got or the bullshit pay that I got. I got paid like fucking $7.50 or something like that, $9 an hour, whatever it was. And they were the good old days. The good old days of being, remember, for anyone who has a trade, do you remember being an apprentice? Do you remember feeling the constant pressure and stress of the fact that you're not appreciated, you're not good enough, you're earning shit money, everything sucks, you can't barely afford the fuel to drive to work, you're waking up early. I was catching a bus at fucking 4:30 in the morning for a lot of my apprenticeship. And I look back at those times and think, fuck, they're the good old days. However, although I do really love that quote, I don't think it's necessarily that accurate. The description being painted is that there is no way to know you're in the good old days until you've actually left them. But I think you can. I think just by knowing you're in the good old days makes the experience so much better. We are always in the good old days. There's going to be a time later on in the future we're going to look back at the present moment and we're going to think to ourselves like, man, life was so much simpler. Whatever the scenario might be, let's just say you've recently got into a relationship with a girl, or you've recently got out of a relationship with a girl. If you're a girl listening to this, vice versa, or same. You might have recently got engaged or found out you're having a kid or trying to have a kid or broken up or married or divorced, and that's just in one relationship. When it comes to relationships, what about you've got a new job? You're looking for a new job. You're about to get a promotion. You just got a promotion. It might be with the fact that you just got signed off. And it might not even have anything to do with any monumental experiences that you're going through in your life, like living in a new suburb or moving to a new house or getting a new pet or gaining a new friend. It might just be with the fact that you are the age you are now. Let's just say you're 25. You will 100%, without a doubt, look back at your mid-20s in the future and think to yourself, man, I remember my mid-20s. It's going to happen. Even if you're going through shit right now. And I believe this. I really do believe this. If you're going through a really tough time, there will be light at the end of this tunnel. There will only ever be greatness after what was once suffering. I feel like life works up and down in a sine wave of maximum and minimum, and you go from happy to sad to excited to nervous to ups and downs, goods and bads, hot and cold. Everything will continue to cycle 24/7, just like the weather does. If you're going through something shit right now, you're going to look back in the future and think to yourself like, man, I remember that time. That was before the best shit happened. Or you're going through the best shit now and you're looking back, remembering how fucking good that experience or time in your life was. If we're going to look back and feel what I think inevitably is already appreciation for and remembrance and optimism and an understanding in that was for a good reason or a good period of our life, why wait to smile till later? Why wait to look back and think to yourself like, yeah, and finally break that smile? You should be smiling and I should be smiling as quickly as possible. We may as well just pretend like we're looking back going, fuck yeah, this was the time in which I had the least amount of responsibility as possible, because we're only going to get more as we get older, which is a whole different conversation, because the more responsibility you have, the more purpose you have, the more fulfilled you feel, the more happiness you gain. However, if we're going to look back, no matter what our circumstances are, and be appreciative of the fact that we were in that time while we were in them, appreciate them now. And it is something that I'm trying and constantly trying to do as much as possible, and that's just be more appreciative, be more grateful. Wake up in the morning, an easy one for me is 10 things I'm grateful for. They don't have to be very complicated. Sometimes they are very extreme and powerful. Like, I'm just grateful I woke up today. I'm grateful for the fact that I have my friends and family and loved ones and pets and whatever. But sometimes it's just like, fuck, I'm grateful I get to get a coffee on the way to work. Fuck, I'm grateful that the fact that I'm not sick. Fuck, I'm grateful for women. I'm grateful for girls. I'm grateful for clothes and shoes. Like, it's easy shit to be grateful for, but the more appreciation, the more gratitude that I feel like I personally am trying to implement into my life for whatever reason it might be, the better time I'm having, obviously. Excuse me. And I just thought I'd share a little bit about that as well, in case anyone else isn't necessarily feeling as appreciative for the current moment that they're in. It's just a perspective change, realistically. It's just how you choose to look at it. Speaking of perspective change, I got a fucking funny tattoo yesterday. I'm going to start talking about that in the moment, and it has to do with perspective entirely. It could be the worst tattoo possible or the best tattoo possible. So I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, living away has really opened my eyes up a lot this week. And that's that we are in chapters. We are constantly in chapters. And chapters is something that I'm going to speak about probably through this episode as well, because it's something that I've been thinking of a lot lately. And that's, what is this chapter? Was this week in Dubbo going to be a annoying, frustrating, time away from home chapter? Or was it going to be the chapter that I look back on and appreciate where I was and who I was with while I was doing it. And that is definitely how I'm going to be looking back at this week. Everything is in chapters. I'm in the chapter right now of 26, going on 27 in a few months. And I'm never going to have this chapter again. And, you know, a year ago, I might have been on the chapter of my life where I was almost hitting episode 100 of the Doxcast. You know, and that was a good chapter. And I got to be honest, I went through a lot of shit during that period of my life. Like, and this isn't going to turn into some sad woo-woo kind of podcast. So I'm just going to be real and open up with the fact that, fuck, life punched me pretty fucking hard in the stomach. And I'm so grateful for that. Like, fuck, life got so much better after that. It bounced back so much faster and stronger and heavier. And everything moved forward in such a better way than it would have if I didn't go through that shit. But I definitely wasn't in that moment thinking to myself, like, fucking hell, this is a good period of my life. This is a good chapter. I was in that chapter thinking this page sucks. So if I already know that the good fucking memory is going to come based on the current position I'm in my life, why not just think of every single moment like I'm already in the future looking back at it? Because it at least makes the present more bearable. You know what I mean? I'm a very optimistic person. I understand that. Maybe some people do not find as ease to transition into a positive lens as I do. But practice makes perfect, okay? The saying speaks for itself. It's been said for millennia by as many possible people, and cliches are cliches because they're the best way to say things. And practice makes perfect. If you can just practice a little bit more appreciation and gratitude into your life, then you'll be able to look at the big picture so much. Fucking hell, I should have probably had some breakfast before this podcast. I apologize again. It'll make the moment so much better while you're in the moment. And if the goal isn't to be present, then what the fuck is the goal? You know what I mean? Monks try for hundreds of years, I swear to God, if they could live for hundreds, they would try for hundreds. But they spend decades trying to become present. Everything's about becoming present. I do fucking meditation as much as I can before episodes, and the whole reason is to become back into the present. Stop dwelling on the things from the past and to stop anxiously worrying about the things from the future. Just come to the fucking present. So if you can be in the present as much as possible, that's the advice I could give on that chapter. And that's kind of what Living Away taught me this week. There's no real need to go into it any further. However, Dubbo, I was living in Dubbo and working in a town called Wellington, if anyone's ever been to Wellington. The population of Wellington was something like, I think it was like 6,000 people. And I kind of think to myself, like, if I lived in a town with anything close to 6,000, even if there was 10,000 people, I'd probably have it as my goal to meet every single person in that town. Like, I don't know why that wouldn't be someone's goal if they lived there. Like, that's definitely very achievable, you know? Someone recently, I met this broad, like, maybe 2 nights ago or something like that. I can't remember when it was. I think it was Friday night. And she was telling me that she was just moving up to Wellington soon. And she's like, yeah, I'm moving there because I hate people. I think to myself, well, I said to her, well, you'd fucking love it there because there's not many girls there, not many people there. But if you hate people, you're probably better off not moving to a fucking town like Wellington because everyone knows you. Everyone's going to know who you are. If you fucking hate people, wouldn't you rather move to a really busy part of the world where no one fucking knows you? You know what I mean? Wouldn't you want to get into the middle of things where you're not important? You're just one of many. If you hate people, then realistically, people might hate you and you're probably better off not going to a small town. That's just my 2 cents on that. But yeah, other than that, work's been pretty fucking crazy. As I said, I've been studying to do a new trade at the moment, an electrical apprenticeship. It has been a honest challenge. I thought I'd be able to absolutely breeze through this, which I am in certain regards. But the studying side of a complicated trade like electricity is a lot more complicated than refrigeration and air conditioning in some ways. And I have a lot of respect for anyone who has ever gone through and done it before. There's a big meme out there to make fun of the electricians. They're all dumb, they're all lazy, they're all gay, they don't pick up after themselves. But it is a hard course, so my arm goes out to them and say, if you've gone through it in the past, then fucking good work, because it's a little bit of a challenge. What else has been happening in my life lately? I've got my fucking veneers, not veneers, what do you call these things? Invisaligns. I've got some Invisaligns on. I've had them now for maybe 2 weeks or something like that. And honestly, when it comes to having Invisalign, it's only like 1 millimeter or 2 of plastic covering over your teeth. But I had to completely learn how to talk again. Like, it is so weird. I'm using different parts of my tongue because if I didn't, I would have a full-on lisp. Like, Even saying lisp is from a way different part of my mouth than before. And even the word lisp is fucking wild because it's probably the most evil word ever invented. Like lisp is a word that if you have it, you can't say. Who the fuck invented lisp? Like it is, I constantly think about that every time I try and say the word, especially now that I am struggling to say a little bit more. It's like, imagine making a condition name about the condition that they can't say. If that makes any sense. I know I butchered that, but imagine having a physical impairment and you can't say it because that's what it's called. Like that is so fucked up. Anyone with a lisp can't even say it. Fucking evil. But anyway, when it comes to the Invisalign, like, it's a whole new experience. Walked around with constant mouth guards on at all times. You can't, I remember I put chewing gum in my mouth. I took one bite and said, what a fucking waste of time, threw that out the window. You can't snack, you can't eat, you can't chew, you can't have anything other than water, otherwise you're going to stain your teeth. If I want to have my coffee in the morning, I got to take them out, drink my coffee, brush my teeth, put them back in. It's good for discipline and stuff like that because you can't snack through the day. You don't really want to waste time, like, you know what I mean, just eating random shit for no reason by having to brush your teeth again. If you don't do it, you're going to fucking make your mouth guards disgusting. So you have to keep them clean at all times. So yes, it's good for a multitude of reasons, but one thing I've noticed a lot since going through the process of getting this Invisalign, motherfuckers have something to say. Like pretty much everyone so far has said, which probably comes from a good lens as well. I'm not going to take it too wholeheartedly, but they say, why would you get Invisalign? You don't need it, which realistically is my smile. I don't necessarily need it that bad. My lips are so fucking cracked, it's doing my head in. However, I kind of feel like the conversation quickly gets led to, why do you have Invisalign? You don't need it. What a waste of money. Why do you think you need it? Like, just don't wait. Like a lot of conversation around this topic when it comes to my Invisalign, but here's the true reason about why I'm getting it. I'm getting the Invisalign to, try and fix some imperfections within my teeth already, which no, there are not many. My fucking teeth are actually I'm quite blessed in that regard. However, I would like them to be a little bit better. I would like them to widen my mouth a little bit more. I'm going to get my wisdom teeth removed afterwards, so it creates a little bit more room for that. And after all this is done, I'm probably going to go ahead and get the veneers added on top of my teeth already, which will not be as nice looking if I don't go through this process as well. Now, yes, I understand I was born with the fact that I have nice teeth, but just because someone has a little bit of insecurity doesn't mean they're not a secure person already. And I think this goes for a lot of things as well. Just because someone trains every day doesn't mean they're actually insecure about how they look. They just want to look better. So both are going hand in hand simultaneously. Just because someone is confident with the fact that they might be overweight or they have a certain haircut or they look a certain way or they're a certain height doesn't mean that they aren't trying to actively do something about it. You know, the height was a bad example because maybe there isn't enough practical ways to be able to get your height any better. But I'm sure that if you do find a way to make yourself a little bit taller, you're not insecure with the fact that you were just trying to do so. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that you can be confident and insecure about things at the same time, and they don't have to go hand in hand and cancel each other out because, yes, I have a lot of insecurities, but I do not let my insecurities be the front-facing thing that I'm thinking about. I do not hide from them. I do not run from them. I do not shy away from them. I actually show them off as much as possible. I have maybe a little bit of a bigger nose. My ears stick out a little bit further than I want them to be. There's all these little things that I think to myself like, oh, they could be better if different circumstances, but I don't give a fuck. Like, it's okay to want things to be better and still be happy with how they are at the same time. They do not cancel each other out. I've been training for like maybe a year pretty consistently. I'm pretty proud of the year that I've had with training. And I always look at myself in the mirror and think, man, in 6 months from now, I'm going to look fucking incredible. It doesn't matter if I'm 1 month in, if I'm 2, if I'm 4, if I'm a year. I still constantly look at myself in the mirror and think to myself, like, man, in 6 months from now, I'm going to look hectic. And that's only because I think I look good now, realistically, okay? No, I know I'm not fucking Ziz, or I'm not Sam Sulek. I'm not one of these characters, but I can still look at myself in the mirror and be confident with the work that I've put in, and then also be able to think to myself, like, but it's going to look fucking hectic in 6 months from now. So I think you can be insecure and be secure at the same time. don't fucking put too much pressure on someone just because they're trying to improve themselves if it was something that you wouldn't do that they're doing, okay? And it is a common thing people do. And I do it as well. I look at people and I think, man, I wouldn't do what you're doing. There's no reason for you to do that. But they want to do it, bro. It's as simple as that. But yeah, the veneers, what are they called? Invisalign, which is the step I'm going down in order to get my veneers, is a whole fucking new experience. Like, a little bit about what the process is like nowadays. Technology has gotten so fucking advanced so quickly that when it comes to putting these mouth guards in, the way they work is you clip these mouth guards into your teeth. As soon as you put the brand new ones on, it sounds like a perfect, like it is crisp, it is clear, it is a mad snap as they fit on your teeth so tight. And yes, it comes with a little bit of pain, like you get jaw aches or a headache or something like that. But the whole goal of what Invisalign does is these mouth guards shift your teeth into the position that the mouth guards are shaped in. And over the course of 6 to 9 months of constantly changing your mouth guards over to a new shape, you have stretched and moved your teeth into the position you want them to be in. Now, usually you'd have to go into a dentist. They'd make up, a few molds for you. You'd go in, they'd check it out, see how they're going, get you a new mouth guard, blah, 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 based on where you're at. But what the technology has done now is that I signed up and I got the fucking package, the whole kit of over the 9 months, whatever it was. And they gave me every single one in one hit. They took my scans, they put this fucking device in my mouth, they made a mad map, they showed me what my teeth would look like afterwards compared to what they look like now. I was happy with the process and what it was going to be. So they made me up this giant step and they said, we'll see you in 9 months. And they've given me this little attachment that I put on my camera on my phone. It clips on my phone and this big circular device hangs off my phone. And I put this device in my phone once a week. I think it's once a week. And I scan my entire mouth. And this fucking thing, you go up and down and left and right and you show all your teeth to this little app, all right, it's taking a video. And then it scans it and it goes, all right, perfect. You're now ready for this mouth guard. And you might even skip a few. You might have to spend a couple more days on the one that you're on. But it is so fucking crazy that I do not have to go back after the first time going in there and my teeth are going to end up being how I want, all because of an app that I have on my phone or by clipping on a couple mouth guards. So it is fucking crazy how good technology is getting nowadays. And that's why I'm the biggest fucking fan of technology, and I have always been one, because anything that comes out, I need to get my hands on it. Like there's a company called DJI at the moment, and the quality of shit that they're making is phenomenal. They have little handheld devices now. I got this camera, it's about yay big, maybe 1 shuckers in length, and you can just record perfect 4K quality videos for YouTube or Instagram or any format you want with zoom and slow-mo and time-lapse and frame rate or whatever you want it to do. And it was like $700, something like that. And this thing is better quality than what wedding photographers were using just a couple years ago. Like, it is fucking crazy what is coming out nowadays. And yeah, the mouth guards and the Invisalign are definitely the newest piece of technology that I'm going down the road of for embarking on. And yeah, that's been something that I'm dealing with lately. Hopefully by the end of this, because I'm not snacking and eating fucking all that all day, every day, I fucking cut down. I actually look pretty hectic by the end of it. It's not something that I expected in the process of trying to fix my teeth. But a little bit else about what's been going on in my life lately. I suppose the podcast in itself is going absolutely fantastic. I could not be more appreciative of the journey that I've decided to go down, in which having the podcast is. Like, I spoke about it a bit on episode 100. That was a bit of a Q&A episode as well, where I put some information out through the week, and I told everyone, if you want me to answer anything, please feel free to just drop a couple questions. And I did spend about that, but I also spoke through that episode in which the self-development journey of what the podcast has been really has impacted my life in the way it has. And it's still happening constantly. Every day I find myself getting better at communication, better at listening, which is definitely something that I've taken on board over the last few months. Shutting the fuck up. Everyone's heard the classic saying, take the cotton buds out of your ears and put them in your mouth, right? And I thought I was a good listener because I'm able to fucking jump back and reply to someone very quickly. But that's not to do with listening. Listening is not thinking about what you want to say after that and completely submerging yourself in their information, which is definitely something I've taken on board a lot more lately. So hopefully my podcasts have less and less editing because I shut the fuck up and let my guests do their magic. But yeah, there's just been so many more and so many blessed opportunities with interesting interesting people coming on and sharing their journeys and their perspectives in all walks of life. I guess it's almost been 50 episodes since the last time I did a solo episode, and there's just been fucking 50 fantastic conversations along this way. I've got some really cool ones coming out. Every 10 episodes, for those who don't know, is a Swapcast episode where I have a guest from the past come back on and I give them the opportunity to be able to host the conversation for the day. If they want to ask me anything, they can. If they want to tell their stories or get deep on some subjects that they want to talk about, it's completely their episode, It's called the Swapcast because I want to give other people the opportunity to know what it's like to be able to host a conversation, host a podcast, and see what it's like if they ever want to have their own channel themselves, because it is realistically such a fun thing to do. So I love giving people that opportunity. And I've got a lad coming on for episode 150 called Clayton Harrop. He's a relationship expert. He coaches people back into the masculine and feminine natures and roles and responsibilities in which it has been studied, not just his perspective and opinion, it has been studied is what people are actually seeking in a partner. And he helps guide people back onto that straight and narrow path and against any misconceptions that they might have taught themselves through their own traumas and things like that. And yeah, having him come on do a Swapcast is going to be an interesting episode. I don't really know what it is that he's going to ask me and talk to me about, but it might be a little bit about my past relationships and past experiences and past traumas and shit like that. So I'm pretty excited to do this episode with Clayton. So look forward to that for episode 150. And yeah, there's some other awesome episodes. I've probably got about 4 or 5 booked in at the moment. I'm very, very keen to do them. But people always ask me, what's the favorite episode you've ever filmed so far? And it's just the next episode. There is no favorite episode. Every fucking episode is good. There's been a couple that have been not very good episodes, I've got to be honest with you. But there has been so many that have been fantastic in every possible way. And I cannot do disjustice to anyone that I won't mention by shouting out anyone that I have. Okay? So, yeah, I'm just very grateful for this opportunity to be doing this podcast the way it is. I'm in a very cool position at the moment where I'm only a few subscribers away from actually being able to monetize this channel and be able to turn this into something that does create an income, And that has obviously been the goal, but it has not been the driving force in doing the podcast since episode 1. It's always just been a big vision and a big dream. Like, yeah, it'd be sick to be able to make a mad bread off this, But I haven't focused on that. I haven't paid attention to that. I haven't worried about... And to be able to make money off YouTube, just so you guys are aware, if you're not aware already, you have to have 500 subscribers and 3,000 hours of watch time per year. And I blew the 3,000 hours of watch time. It's a fucking 2-hour episode-based podcast channel where different people are coming on every week. I'm obviously going to hit that criteria. I'll probably double that every year on average. But the 500 subscribers has been something that has had to come naturally and over time. And in doing so, I have really taken a lot of curious interest in the fact that I have never told anyone about this in my own life. I have never led a conversation with my podcast. I've never told anyone to go like and subscribe. I've never ever done it in the entire 3 years now that I've been doing this. I have wanted to be able to see what can happen if I plant the seeds of creating content and constantly water them every week with new episodes, how big the life of the Doxcast can become without me trying to create the evolution, It's my responsibility as the host to create the best version of me. I need to be able to articulate myself and have good conversations and be able to be confident enough with a guest to be able to get them out of their shell that they came in with, or open up about the things that they are keen to talk about that just might not feel comfortable talking to me about with yet. And that's what I try and work on. I try and work on how the conversation is being held. And even when it comes to quality, like this is a brand new camera that I've had for maybe 2 episodes now. There's a couple of them in this room. And I had the same shitty ass fucking cameras for fucking 3 years. The audio didn't get fixed for the first year. Dude, like it's not even close to the same channel it was in the beginning, but it's not because I've been trying to upgrade the physical layout or increase the number of views or increase the number of subscribers. It's only because I've been trying to increase the conversational aspect of them. And watching the subscriber rate go up every single week is just a mad little side little challenge, you know what I mean? And to finally get to that position is something that I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to be taking some big advancements as of soon when it comes to brand deals and opportunities. Because another thing that's been happening in my life lately is that I'm moving from this house that I started the podcast in. It has been a mad time being in this house. I have spent a lot of memories. I've been in multiple relationships through this house. This was originally my parents' house until it became my house. And I'm at the point now where I'm fucking over being here. I don't want to be here anymore. I basically live over in Windsor, for anyone who doesn't know. Kind of close to it without giving exact location of where I live. But it was mad living this far out because I was this far out. I had no traffic. I had no noise. I had no fucking cramped. I had free. The roads are so big and there's plenty of places to park the cars and the trucks and the boats and whatever the things we have is. Plenty of room for everything. But I'm too far out now. The content and the podcast and my personal life has grown to a position now where I can't be so far away because the guests that I want to be able to get on are not willing and able to travel as far as they are. I need to be a bit more centered in location. And although I love the house, I've been working in the background to be able to upgrade it and be able to get rid of it. So I've just finished brand new kitchens, all new bathrooms. I've got the whole house is painted almost internally and externally. There's been a new backyard. There's a new deck. There's new concrete. There's just so much work that I've realistically had been put into this house to the point where I'll be able to sell it for what will hopefully be a bit of profit and be able to move. And the journey of home ownership has been a very fun, interesting, challenging journey that I'm willing to go down again in the future at some point. But my advice to anyone, because I'm in the position I'm in, is do not buy a house if you're not willing to rent it out. And if you're going to rent out a house, you shouldn't do it in Sydney. Owning a home in Sydney, I can understand it from a couple of perspectives of you have just got yourself into the proper serious relationship you've been planning to get yourself into, whether it's fiance or pregnant or married or whatever it might be, and you're planning to build a home and raise your kids in a suburb that you're choosing to do that in. Me personally, I'm nowhere near that phase of my life yet. There is no one in my life that I'm considering marrying, and there's no one that is pregnant. There is nothing like that. So where I lived hasn't fuck all to do with a location. And what's the point of owning a home then in the first place? You're spending realistically a lot of money if you want to own a home. You're putting way more money away into a mortgage than you're ever going to put into renting. And if you are going to do it renting, at least at any point you can just pack up and leave and go to a brand new home. And that's kind of the chaos that I really do love living in. I'm a man who loves my structure. I love my order and I love my routine, but I need to have chaos inside of that as well. I need to be able to strive in the difficulty in which the circumstances are by having to pack up all of a sudden one day and go to a new spot. And I love having the freedom of not feeling held down to one location. And the kind of same thing happens inside of my relationships that I get in as well. Like it's a whole deeper subject, not willing to go in, but I love chaos. And finding myself trapped to one location has been a challenge that I've learned to accept. Now that I feel like I've accomplished that part of my life, it's time to be able to sell, move on. I'm actually going to go back to renting, and when I move around a bit, try different spots, try different locations. But I want to go to a Sydney Olympic Park. I'm going from fucking far away out to straight there in the middle of the fucking chaos center, Sydney Olympic Park, right there across the road from the places where I love to spend my time. And that's at concerts, shows, festivals, seminars, games, performances, basically anything where there is grand display of art. That's where I like to spend my time. I like to feel the motivation and the energy of the rooms in which performances are being occurred. And it just gives me so much creativity and it gives me so much power. I went to Central C like maybe, I don't know how many days ago now, 10 days ago or something like that. And it was so impressive to be able to see the impact someone can have at a large scale, you know, comedy shows. And when my podcasts that I watch, they come to Australia, I love going and seeing them. And it doesn't matter if it's a magician on stage. Like I'll go watch that motherfucker. I've got friends that do drama and theater and all that stuff. And I love watching that stuff as well. And it's because I love seeing people perform and express what's inside of them. I love watching things come to life, you know. I watched like 3 weeks ago? I watched Hamilton, the play Hamilton. I think it was on Prime or Disney or something like that. Maybe Disney Plus. It was on Disney Plus. And I watched this live action play of Hamilton. And it's pretty gay, I'm not going to lie. Like it's basically, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours, maybe even more, of singing. There is no talking for this entire movie. It is a literal play, you're watching a video of a performance of people singing the entire time of the story of Hamilton from the foundation of, like George W. Bush, from like Alexander Hamilton and George Washington, and all these figures come to life. And you're watching how they created the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, and how America became to be the place it is, from the original kings that ruled it to the help from France to throw out the rulers there, and like the ending of, and even it was a cool story, but it was sung the entire time. I would watch that every fucking day of the week if it was being played somewhere near my house, okay? So I want to be right there where I want to be, across the road from all the things that I love to watch. And that's where I'm going to be setting up the new location for the podcast. So the entire studio is going to change. I'm very excited. It's been the way it is now for 2 years. And yeah, everything's going. There'll be a new wall behind me. You probably can't see it. You might be able to see the one tag there, but there has been a wall so far of people signing the wall every time they come over. I'm going to keep the same principle, the same concept. I'm actually going to make a really cool video when I do move about going one by one and visiting all the people who have done the podcast in the past and getting them to sign the new backdrop that I'll take to all locations. And it's going to be a pretty awesome YouTube video that I'm excited to put out, which does lead me to another conversation point. And that's the evolution in which I want my content to be. Okay. So I'm excited for this move. I've been preparing for it for a while now. There's a couple little fine details I need to make in the process. There'll be some temporary locations for the podcast where guests will have to meet me in some places that I'm not necessarily going to be too red hot proud of, but I know that it's all going to be for the best. And as I said, it led me to my next conversation, which what I want my content to become soon. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you probably came directly from Instagram. I'd say 99.5% of the traction does come from there. I do see all the analytics on YouTube. Sometimes it gets picked up by a random person on my For You feed. And if I've popped up on your For You feed, then welcome. But yes, as you can see on my Instagram, guys, I have transitioned in the last 6 months to kind of in real life content. This started off as just podcasting and wanting to sit down with people because I wasn't necessarily trying to be a content creator. I was trying to be able to have the conversations and grow in the way I wanted to grow. That was by meeting the people that I wanted to meet. And yeah, I thought I'd try something differently. And every week now for the past 6 months, I've put out a new video. Some have been more effort than others, but I've definitely enjoyed at least every experience in which making every video was. There's a lot of in real life things. There's like food reviews or concerts or performances, or there might be funny skit videos that I filmed by myself or with my brother. But yeah, there's always something new and fun to film and do. And once a week I'll do one of those. Once a week I'll do an Instagram clip from the podcast, and once a week I'll put up a photo of the podcast as well. And it keeps my theme, keeps my algorithm, keeps me looking at my own Instagram and thinking like, fuck yeah, I can see a structure, I can see a layout, I can see a bit of pattern inside of this. However, I do want to start taking my content to the next level again in the future. And I think a solo episode is definitely something I've been thinking of for a very long time. By episode 200, so in a year from now, I will be doing that. I will hopefully soon start doing 2 Instagram videos a week, 2 clips, 2 posts, and then I want to start doing some long format YouTube as well. I'm kind of dipping my toe in at the moment. I just spent all day yesterday filming mad funny videos. So there's some awesome videos coming out on my Instagram in the next couple of weeks. If you're already watching this, then one of them's already out. And yes, there's a reason why I'm wearing the beanie, and I may or may not reveal it by the end of this episode. But fuck, man, content is so much fun. It keeps you so accountable. Keeps you so accountable to want to go out and appreciate the moment. And I heard a quote recently that someone told me in real life, you got to bless the food by taking a photo of it. And I felt that was fucking beautiful, like realistically, because mad feeds are mad feeds, but you don't remember many of the mad feeds you have. But when you go on for your camera roll and you see mad memories, you really get to dive back into what those moments was. And I think the fact that we have content in the age in which we live in is such a fucking underspoken blessing that we have. There's so many people that think it's bad that people spend so much time on their phones. But if you can spend the time on your phones for a more productive reason, like being able to capture moments, then you've done yourself a fucking service. And if you want to post it, the rest of the world too. But yeah, I'd love to be able to start doing a bit more long format stuff when it comes to YouTube and vlogging and going out and showing off a bit of the lifestyle that I live. And even if I don't necessarily feel like I have the best lifestyle to show off, it actually, and this is a mad tip for anyone who wants to go out and find more enjoyment out of their life, filming videos creates the life you want to live, you know? Yes, I'm lucky that I do enjoy doing a lot of things and I just record a lot of the things I do, right? But when I think to myself, like, fuck, I want to put up a video this weekend. What should I go and do? I filmed some fucking fun shit this weekend and I wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to put up a video, you know? Some of the videos were skits. Some of them were jokes. Some of them were experiences. And like, fuck, I would not have done them. And it's something that I will remember for the rest of my life. So stay tuned to some of these videos coming out on my Instagram as well. But yeah, to make full YouTube versions of that would be awesome as well. I won't be able to do these alone. Things that I need to start investing in when it comes to editing and all that. But with the way in which the podcast has finally become, and, you know, in the next couple of weeks, hitting the 3rd year of the podcast, I finally reached the end of my 3rd year of my apprenticeship, you know. I'm not saying I have yet. I'm about to. I'm only a few weeks away though, and maybe 5 weeks away, I think, by the time this episode comes out. But I look at life like a trade. It's like an apprenticeship, you know. An apprenticeship takes 4 years. You take 3 years of study, 1 year on the tools after you finish studying. And basically in your first year, you're a fucking idiot. Every first year knows the experience of being a first year. You don't know nothing. If you're like me and you started when you're like 15, you've never used a drill. You've never used a grinder. You've never picked up a pair of pliers. Like, you're not capable at anything. And by the end of your first year, you're a little bit more familiar with the tools and you can use your cognitive ability to more function, but you don't understand why or what it is that you're actually doing. You haven't learned why you're doing it. Most of your time has been learning how to do it. Once you learn why to do it, by the time you're in your 3rd year of your apprenticeship, you're capable enough. Okay, and that's how I consider myself to be in the podcast. I'm capable enough, but I'm about to finish this year. And just like you do in your 4th year, you're finally at a level of skill and you can actually go out and start making money. And it's funny that I look at most things in life like that, because if I do get to 500 subscribers by the time I'm in my 4th year, then I'm actually making money, you know? It's just a mad coincidence if you call it that, you know? I kind of call it exactly what it is. And it's just, if something works well in one regard, why wouldn't it work well in others? If every single trade's kind of the same thing, if every single career is kind of the same thing, if sport and science and all these things work as well, why can't any ideology like podcasting work exactly the same as an apprenticeship? And to reward myself for this moment of monetization when it comes to the podcast, I'm actually going to reach out there and start communicating with brands, and with the new layout that I'm going to have in the podcast as well, you're probably going to see product placement. And I'm going to be wearing a bit more different clothing than I would usually wear, even though every single week I do happen to be wearing something different in the first place anyway. But I'll be a bit more intentional with companies I want to work with product placement, and there might even be some opportunity for some ad reads in the podcast so far moving forward as well. And I'm fucking very excited for it, guys. Like, it's been a long journey of doing this, and it has honestly not been why I'm doing it. It has just been the result of the work in which I have been doing, which is fucking awesome. From my perspective, like, it's something that I'm very, very, very excited to get to, because, like, who doesn't love money? I fucking love my money. Anyone that knows me, the reason why I love my money is because I love spending money. And it's probably a conversation I'm happy to go down the road of, because I don't think the goal of life is earning money. The goal is spending. No one gives a fuck if you have $100,000. They want to know what you use $100,000 for. You can't take any of the money with you at the end of your life, all right? And I'm not the best example to be talking about this, because I struggle with the concept of saving regardless and using my money to make money. And like, I get it. Like, some people just want to constantly get more money. People want to get money so they can buy a home, so then they can rent that out to get the money with rent to then buy another home, and then use that money with rent to buy another home. And some people want to buy crypto so they can make more money in crypto, so they can buy more crypto, so they can make more money in crypto. And it's like a constant never-ending cycle. And I get it. The premise is that eventually one day you're going to cash out and you're going to have all these riches, right? However, personally, I struggle with the concept of it, because, and it might just be a impulsive intuition that I find myself to have, where I want what I want now and I'm not willing to wait for it. And I might just have a delusional aspect in the whole regard to it. So I'm not saying don't save. But what I'm saying is, The reason you want to have money is to be able to enjoy your life. So if you're not enjoying your life along the process of earning money, you're wasting your life. You could get to 40, right? Let's just say you work your fucking dick off, you work your ring, you sacrifice, you're saving every dollar, you're doing the overtime, you're living away, you're doing all these things. And then you finally buy, let's just say you get to like 3 or 4 investment properties, right? You don't have to work anymore. You have 5, 6 investment properties. You're doing great. You killed it. You just spent the last 25 years grinding. Now you're probably, if you're lucky, in your 40s, right? If you fucking knuckled the fuck down, you're in your 40s. You have all this passive income. You don't have to work anymore. But you have, in my opinion, wasted the opportunity of the last 20 fucking years. You could have been out there experiencing life, wasting money on fucking girls and going out and clothes and cars and cameras or whatever the fuck it is, experiences, skydiving, holidays, traveling. There are so many ways to spend this life. And the only way to spend this life is to gain experience. So if you're saving every fucking dollar you can, just so you can set yourself up for later in the future, you've wasted your life, you know? You can't possibly have a better later half of your life than first half of your life. Obviously, there's balance. I'm not saying gamble your money away. I'm not saying drink and drug your money away. I'm not saying give everything away you have and be a people pleaser in every aspect where I'm not saying waste all your money on food and cigarettes and all these things. I'm saying buy the things that you want to enjoy your time doing that aren't, to be honest, I'm not going to say that aren't drinking and drugging and gambling, because if they are the things that you're choosing to spend your money on, then it is your own choice. It's just not how I would choose to spend my money. Then make sure you're at least enjoying your time along the process, okay? I do know a lot of people who I personally don't think are enjoying their time. And if they are, they are, each to their own. We all have different preferences. But I don't want anyone to look back and think they've wasted their time. I want everyone to be able to look back just as much as I spoke about earlier in this episode, with an understanding that, yes, that was a great chapter. I don't want them to ever look back and think to themselves like, I wasted that moment, you know? I have a lot of fear and I have a lot of hope in the future in a positive lens. I'm not worried about it realistically, that I'm not going to look back and think, I wish I did things differently. I'm going to look back and think, fuck yeah, I did things the only way I knew how to do, and that was by having a mad time, okay? And that doesn't mean be completely irresponsible, waste every dollar. Like, obviously, if you got your goals in mind, set out yourself to be able to achieve your goals. I'm not saying live paycheck to paycheck. I'm saying enjoy your fucking money in the time that you earn it. And there's a mad quote, there's a mad saying that I learned, and it will lead me into the next thing I want to say, called, you can only keep what you've got by giving it away. And that means, I'll go back to using the tradesman analogy. If you want to become a proficient, experienced, well-knowledge tradesman, you can only keep what you've got by giving it away, meaning the knowledge and the skills, which means by getting another apprentice. By becoming apprentice to tradesmen to then training apprentice again, you're able to continue to learn and grow and improve your capabilities by now helping someone else become good at what they're doing. And the same aspect works, and I think, in money. If you just constantly want to get more money by saving, you're going to struggle to be able to make more. And just like the old saying is, use your money to, I guess the saying was, use your money to make more money, means you can only keep what you've got by giving it away, and then more will come back in. And I use the same quote realistically to transition this conversation into, if you're a positive person, you want to stay a positive person, give more compliments. If you want to be a happy person, keep what you've got by giving it to someone else. If you find yourself being negative to someone, you find yourself talking down to someone, if you find yourself being complaining or sulking or carrying on or angry or frustrated or all negative emotion, if that's what you're giving out, that's what you're giving out, you may not understand that that's the only thing that you're keeping at the same time. But if you're giving away mad times, positive encouragement, if you're giving away construction, not criticism, just construction, if you're giving away encouragement and fun energy and life and hope and joy, that's what you'll keep in your life. You can only keep what you've got by giving it away. And where I learned that is where I want to try and transition this conversation into for the next part of this episode. But another thing that I've been really embarking on in my life lately is I've recently started going to NA meetings. I've started going to Narcotics Anonymous, which is an non-for-profit organization used to help addicts get and remain clean and sober, okay? And now, one reason why I'm fucking very, very grateful that today's episode has ended up landing on the day in which it is today, episode 148, because the week in which this episode comes out is my 1,000 days sober. 1,000 days sober is fucking crazy. I'm honestly doing the maths in my head just to make sure. But I'm definitely right. It just doesn't sound right, so I had to double check and make sure. But it has been 1,000 days this week that I've been clean and sober. And it's hard to reflect and understand that because that is so fucking long. And I got to be honest, I only came to this realization today. I came to this realization an hour and 30 minutes ago, just thinking to myself. Like, for anyone that has met me over the last 1,000 days, I guarantee you would have at least a idea of who you think I am, right? Everyone's going to have their own perspectives and their own opinions, and everyone makes their own conclusions on everyone. So if you've met me in the last 1,000 days, I guarantee you at least have a perspective of me. But if you met me before that, you would have, I guarantee, a complete different one. I'm not saying you look at me and respect me. I'm not saying that I expect people to be able to look at me and think of me as a well put together person or anything like that. But whatever you've classed me as judgment, good or bad, you would have thought a way different judgment before. And that's because I am a completely different person. I am not the same fucking irresponsible, irrational, impulsive, self-destructive, self-centered piece of shit that I once was. And I lived that life for a very long time. I did not give a fuck about anyone else, especially myself. And I was willing to do whatever it was to be able to get as fucked up as possible, as much as possible, as much as I could. And I lived this life for many reasons in which I'm constantly learning about myself through professional health, like psychologists, or through things like NA meetings. But I was on a path of self-destruction. I didn't really give a fuck. I genuinely was convinced that the whole world was wrong. I thought, how could everyone be wrong? Drugs and alcohol are the most fun you can have as an existence. So this is how I want to spend my time doing. And I wasn't even necessarily that self-aware of the impact I was having on myself and others either. But there became many, many times of rock bottom in which I realized like things need to change and I can't live this life forever, whether it be for the people around me or for myself. And if you don't know already, but I set myself the goal. I want to go one whole year. I want to go one whole year sober just to prove that I can do it. And if I can prove to myself that I can do it, then at least I know I haven't got an issue. I haven't got a problem. I'm not an addict. I'm not a consumer that I can't control. And at least I'll be able to go back to indulging in as much of whatever as I want without feeling that pressurized shame and guilt of terms like junkie or addict or outcast or crim or whatever it might be, because yes, drugs and alcohol led me to a lot of decisions that I'm not proud of now looking back on. And if I told myself if I could go 1 year, fuck yeah, everyone's wrong, including this little judgment I have of myself, and I'm sweet. I can do whatever I want. So I fucking struggled for a whole year and I did not indulge in any party or activity or engagement or Christmas gathering or get together or state of origin or whatever the fuck it was that I was going through, weddings and birthdays and housewarmings and all the rest. I stayed true to myself and I did not budge. And this is honestly how I did it. I did it because no one thought I could do it. I did it because of the friends, my bestest friends. I did it because of the fact that they were making bets on when I was going to fall off. Which, look, I don't blame them. Yes, that sucks. Yes, that's annoying. Yes, that makes me want to punch holes in Gyprock, realistically. But, of course, they're free to feel that way and make that assumption because the life I lived before was nothing but junk. Like, I would just be written off all the time. No one, barely anyone, ever believed I would be able to achieve anything. Whether it be getting through my first apprenticeship or becoming successful in my career or achieving the milestones I've achieved, becoming consistent at anything, whether it be gym or podcasting or friendships or relationships or whatever it might be, the amount of car accidents and arrests and court dates or whatever the fuck it might be that I found myself getting involved in 24/7, I just thought to myself, like, man, I have really bad luck. Not many other people going through this shit. Why? I guess it's just me and my other friends that I hang out with every day. That's because we're all fucking retarded. So I found myself getting in all this bad luck, but it was just because of the situations that I put myself in. So no one believed I'd be able to get through it. There was every time that someone ever told me, hold him down, pour alcohol down his mouth, spike his drink. Why are you doing this? Come on, just have one. Every time someone told me they didn't think I'd be able to do it, that's what made me do it. And I beat everyone. It was the competitive nature inside me that wanted to go against being told what to do because I don't like being told what to do, because of the fact that I've never been able to succumb to things like authority, and I've struggled with things like respect in my elders or all these concepts that I've tried to figure out over time because I understand they're the right thing to do. But I do not like being told what to do, especially if it's how to do it. So when people told me I wasn't able to do this, it made me stick to it. And I got to say fuck you to everyone along the way, including myself, realistically, above all else. However, through this journey, no matter how much I have improved over my life, no matter how different I am as an individual to the person I would have definitely been today if I stayed on drugs, I struggle to recognize it. Even my friends struggle to recognize it. My life is so much better, but that doesn't mean it's always been easy. There's definitely times through the first period of doing it where it was difficult, and then it became comfort. It became routine. It became who I am and what I do. And I held a lot of pride and ego in relation to the fact that, like I'm 6 months sober. I have been on sobriety for a year, because when I got to the year, I was too scared to go back. And I said, fuck it, let's do 2. So then it became a thing where it's like, I've been sober for 14 months. Oh, fuck, when's he going to give this up? Surely you've done the first year now. When are you going to get back on the drink? When are you going to get back on the drug? When are you going to get back to having a good time? And I was having a good time, but people couldn't understand that because they were drinking and drugging. What I learned through doing this was all the hard things that I had possibly gone through in my life, which there had been a lot of difficult things over the past, let's just call it 1,000 days now. It made them bearable. Yes, it still sucked. I went through shit, but bad days were always good and good days were always great. And that's because I was sober, and I did struggle to find a lot of relation to a lot of people through this chapter of my life because I didn't know anyone else doing it. I never really met anyone else staying absent from drugs and alcohol, but I had the blessing in doing the podcast to meet people in this same mindset. I met some amazing lads and lasses who had gone down the road of sobriety, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons and skills from people who would class themselves as addicts. And they learnt to stay away. And their lives had all been improving dramatically and drastically in the process. So I'd ask them questions and I picked their brains. And even after our podcast episodes have been done, I've been trying to stay in as much relationship with these people as possible because they get me. They understand what I'm going through. Because the matter of the fact is, I'm 1,000 days clean and sober. By the time this episode comes out, I'm guessing you're a couple of days into watching it. That's why I'm saying it like that. Today, I'm not able to comfortably say it while recording this episode, but I'm almost 1,000 days clean and sober from drugs and alcohol. And I fucking love them. I love getting fucked up. I love blacking out and bendering and being scattered and not sleeping. And I love the feeling and the urge and the desire of chasing and wanting, and I love getting as written off as possible. But I'm going to tell you the fucking hard, cold truth about the fact that I love it. It has ruined me time and time again. I'm not able to go to countries that I want to go to, like Canada and America and things like that. And I find myself not being able to hold a gun license in Australia because of the fucking dramas I've gotten myself in as well. There are a lot of things that I'm not allowed to go shooting and hunting and experience these cool aspects of being an Australian citizen because I'm not responsible enough because of the decisions that I've made. Everyone has seen The Hangover, right? The Hangover, which is the fucking one of the greatest movies of all time, where they go to Thailand. Is the first one where they go to Thailand? No, they go to Vegas in the first one. They go to Vegas in the first one. They go to Thailand in the second one. And they black out for a couple of days, whatever it is, right? They have no memory of it. I have lived that exact moment in Thailand, if I'm going to be honest with you, actually, where I was there for a week and I have no fucking memory of the first time I went there. None. In fact, I woke up with a fucking axe tattooed on my head, realistically. There is a year of my life that's like that. And it's not something that I talk about very often, but there's a whole year that I don't have memory because of the choice of drugs in which I was choosing to use while doing so. And during that year is when I had so many car accidents and I had so many altercations and dramas and fights, and I'd woken up in hospitals or I was employed at the time, and the employer would tell me about jobs. Now he would talk about things and I'm like, bro, I don't remember that. Like there'd be entire projects I'd be a part of where I wouldn't remember. And that's because of the calling I had to intoxicate myself, and whether that be through a sad reason or for fun, you know, like you don't have to paint it in whatever lens you want to paint it. A lot of people do paint the self-pity party of, you know, I was choosing to use drugs and alcohol for self-destructive reasons because of sadness or whatever. But I think just as much as I was doing it for that, I was also doing it because I wanted to have a mad time. I was doing it to have fun. Although I can see the difference in which my life has been, it doesn't mean it doesn't still get a little bit more difficult. And over the last couple months, what happened in my own personal life is I went through a bit of a breakup. I felt, and that's, believe me, I'm being metaphorical when I say it like that as well. I felt a bit betrayed. I felt a bit isolated. And because I didn't really have anyone in my own life that I could really count on and I feel like understood me, I went through the tips and tricks that I'd learned for the people doing the podcast, the lads that have come on the podcast and told me this, and I found myself at an NA meeting. I was giving up the hope and the idea of the bad things I was telling myself, like, man, it's hard to find and meet people. And even like I tell myself stories like, it's hard to find girls when you're sober because you can't go out and drink, or it's hard to fucking get close to boys because you're not deep DNMing over fucking 2 a.m. bags and shit like that. Like, I would tell myself all these things, even though I'd been doing it for so long, so successfully, and it did get difficult. So I found myself at an NA meeting to try and get a bit more encouragement and motivation to be able to stay consistent. And it was the fucking best thing for me at the time. Like, the thing about an NA meeting where most people will not, a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, it is an anonymous group. You don't post about it online. There's not like, oh, hey, this person's there. I'm not going to go say, oh, I've seen this person there or that person there or this person there, but you might, and you probably will see people you know and recognize. And the motivation you get from being in there is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It might just be with the fact that I'm finding so much relation to what everyone else is saying because I understand what they're going through. Everyone's in there because they have a problem with the fact that they love to do drugs and alcohol, but they can't do it because of the fact that it ruins their life and they wouldn't be able to live their life they're living now and drugs and alcohol at the same time. They have to pick one or the other. So they choose to live the life they're living now, and they're choosing to go to NA to make sure they don't go back to using drugs and alcohol. That relation is so understanding for me. I get that. And I've been doing that by myself for a very long time. But going there, you have people that are there who have been doing it for years. You have all these people that have been constantly showing up to these meetings week after week or month after month or however long they've been wanting to go for years. And they've been meeting up with hundreds and hundreds of other like-minded people, gaining stories, telling insights, hearing perspectives, little quotes, little sayings. The quotes and the sayings that you hear inside these fucking rooms are fantastic. I've never felt so much wisdom and hope and inspiration in my life than listening to one person talk for 5 minutes. That's because we get each other. And then he summarizes it all up in a fucking mad little bow at the end of it. I can't tell you, people talking, and when people talking, all you hear is this. Damn. Ooh, you just see nodding. You just see nodding from when someone's just opening up about how they're feeling and people just nodding like, bro, I get it. Or girl, you fucking tell that. And you get a lot of motivation from the people that have been doing it for a very long time, and they tell you about how far they've come by making that decision compared to where they were. But you feel so much more motivation just as much when you see the brand new person come in who talks about the fact that they've only been clean and sober for a week. When you hear about the fact that the person comes in, they've only been sober for a day. And before that, they were clean and sober for fucking 6 months. Or before that, they were sober for fucking 2 years. And then they fucked it all up. And over the last couple months, they've been back on the drugs and the drinking. And this is how much they've lost. And people talk about the fact in these rooms that if you don't put your sobriety first, and they call it recovery in NA, and it's probably for a really good reason, but in my head, I still refer to it as sobriety because that's what I've been practicing for all this time. If you don't prioritize it and make it number one, everything else goes out the window. Because I have such an addictive personality where there's a saying in NA, 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough. And that's me. That's my life. That's me when it comes to filming videos or hanging out with people or spending time doing this or buying food or buying clothes or buying shoes or indulging in chocolate or indulging in drugs or indulging in alcohol. I go away, living away with lads, and I watch them maybe polish like 6 to 10 beers in a night, right? Yes, I'm fucking jealous of them. But then I see them stop, and then I think, well, why did you bother starting? Keep drinking. You know, and then that's just that addictive part of my brain, just like wanting to consistently just have more. I don't get it why some people just have 1 or 2 beers. I don't get it. That makes no sense to me. You can have all of them. If you're going to already break the barrier of drinking, get fucked up, you know? And that's a massive component and reason why I stay away. Because I don't understand moderation. I do not have any skills when it comes to temptation. I do not understand a little bit. I do not understand maybe. I do not understand some. I have yes or I have no. So I practice no as much as I can. And going to these rooms in NA has been so beneficial for me because I'm finding the rooms in which the people that have the same mindset as me, and that's in saying no. It has been a little bit difficult, I'm not going to lie to you, because I've only been going there for a few months or so. I can't tell you how long I've been going realistically, but there are a lot of people that have been doing it for the same amount of time as me, more time than me, way less time than me, give or take, whatever it might be. But they've been a part of these meetings, they've been a part of these rooms for a very long time, and they're familiar with the process in which it is. And I'm understanding that everyone just wants to share about their day and their experience to be able to give some information away. But I've been doing a lot of this recovery, sobriety by myself for a very long time. So I don't really know how I've done it. I've only been able to do it by saying fuck you to the people that didn't believe in me and then putting my attention completely towards something else. Like if I was going out to a birthday, instead of focusing on drinking, I would focus on food. Or I would just constantly drink more water. Like I'd always be distracting myself with something else, whether it be having a conversation with people for as long as I could, or whether it be from even weddings. Like I just focus on the task at hand that wasn't the drink, like, which it was difficult, but I found a way to do it. But I don't really know how I did it because as soon as I had enough, I'd go. As soon as I felt like I wasn't able to enjoy myself anymore, I would fucking get in my car and drive. I'd always have my car with me at all times for this entire 1,000 days. So whenever I want, I can get the fuck out of where I am and go distract myself, give myself something to do. So because I don't really know how to help other people, because I haven't heard anyone tell me, when I'm in these rooms sharing, I'm one of the clean members. I'm one of the older lads. I'm one of the guys who has done his time in a way. You know, I'm not going through my first 30 days or my first week or my first 90. I'm up to 1,000. So I'm not going to say I wish. I'm going to say I feel the responsibility sometimes to be able to give a bit more insight and share about how I've done it, but I haven't recorded it. It's not like I've written it down. I don't have all these tips and sayings and quotes and tricks. Like I'm just figuring it out and I'm using NA for what it is. Realistically, I'm using it for me. I'm not going there to be able to help people. I do feel that responsibility. I do feel that urge and that want to be able to give back what I've got. But I started going because I needed it, and I continued going because I enjoyed it. And I'm finding the motivation to stay consistent because of it. So it's a bit of a difficult thing for me, you know. I'm going to try and do my best to be able to give back as much when I go as possible, because it's already done a lot for me. I did a lot for myself. But that has given me so much more, you know, realistically. So that's a little bit about what's been happening with me lately. I've been going to these NA meetings. It's been fucking awesome. It's great to be able to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, you know. And that's what I've been doing a lot lately. I've also started going to church. This whole year I've been at church pretty much every single Sunday. There might have been like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 Sundays this year where I haven't, whether I've been way too busy or I've been overseas or whatever it might be. But yeah, I even went when I was living away a few times. I went to the ones in different states like Queensland. And maybe when I was in Thailand, I went to church. I can't remember. Whatever I've been doing. But it's awesome to be able to put yourself in a church. Even if you're not religious, I think church is fucking fantastic. I'm not really religious. I'm not a Christian by sense. I do not necessarily believe that Christianity is your only access to eternal life and happiness and in the afterlife in general, or to be able to bring heaven down to earth either. I don't think the only way to be able to find complete bliss and prosperity is through the Bible. I believe for me personally, it's the best way. And I believe it could be the best way for everyone too. I don't know. I just don't think it's the only way. I think there's many different ways to be able to achieve a relationship between you and your higher power, whether that be the term God or whether it be your higher self, whatever it be that people choose to define it as. I think it's all the same fucking word. But to surround yourself with people in a room with the same common goal, to be able to find more love inside their heart and give that away for their own personal gain and the betterness of the people around them, is a very, very beautiful thing. It's a very powerful room to be a part of. And preachers are fucking God-sent people, I'm telling you. Don't get me wrong, there are weeks where I go to church and I'm like, this is fucking boring. This is boring as all shit. I'm like listening to this guy speak on stage, or girl. Sometimes there's lasses speaking as well. I shouldn't be like that, but sometimes I'm like, let me up. Sometimes I'm just thinking like, bruv, give me the mic, please. Let me tear the roof off this place. Like I'd be able to bang something out right now. You're killing me. And that might be a bit of me. Maybe I'm not listening to what it should be. Maybe I'm not listening to the part of it that I should be hearing, because, you know, I feel like everyone can gain something else than the person next to them when they do enter those rooms. And that's what they say inside church. They say, God's speaking to me different than the way he's speaking to the person sitting next to me based on what the person up is saying. That's all to do with perspective. However, you get some mad gems, eh? You get the maddest inspiration and motivation. And me being a believer in God myself, I do find I'm always looking for a better line of communication and a better understanding of what my purpose is and path and foreseeable future, or even if I've handled the past any better, if I could have handled the past any better, or if I'm being as much in the present as I possibly can. Entering these rooms of church and in the praise and worship aspect as well is also something that I'm becoming more and more in love with. I do find myself listening to Hillsong music most mornings on the way to work, and reading the Bible as much as possible as well, which is a very interesting thing given the fact that I'm not really a Christian, you know. I think the order to believe you're a Christian might have to do with the fact that you believe Jesus Christ is the only God. You know, God is the only God and Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that if you don't believe in that, you're not a Christian. I believe it's a possibility. I believe Christ existed, and I believe Christ, the living person that really did exist, who did choose to sacrifice his own life for the sake of everyone else, whether it created a big cosmic aspect on everyone getting access to heaven, or whether he was just a fucking good guy and believed that that's what he was doing, all right? Either way, the belief in that, the goal to be like Christ, will make me a better person, will make the people around me have a better life, and will most likely have me to become more confident with whatever the afterlife is. All right, that's all it is. That's all it is from my perspective. So if I can be like this and have the beliefs I believe and still be listening to Hillsong every morning, still be reading the Bible every day and still going to church every Sunday, I at least hope above anything can change the perspective on what they think religion is. Because it's obvious religion has been the cause of so much suffering over the extended period of history. Okay? Yes, Christianity has caused some genocide. I'm not going to argue with that. But there's such a bad light painted on Christians and Muslims and all these other religions. And it's like people just think of them as like cult-like buildings like Hillsong. Everyone. I go to Hillsong because it's the funnest church near my house. It's the maddest music. It's the maddest room. It's the maddest preaching. But I just as well go to the other churches as well. So many people look at religion and faith and following like it's a bad, evil, cult-like group. You know what I mean? Where it's them versus the world. But it's not like that. I promise you. I'm not trying to tell everyone to put Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. What I am trying to tell everyone is to be open-minded to the fact that these people who are practicing this are most likely trying to improve themselves for the better of everyone else. And that's what I have to say about that, because it's been a mad journey being a part of, going to church again. Life just constantly keeps getting better because of the fact that I'm going. More and more opportunities are coming up. It's something that I want to speak on as well. And this goes to anyone who is a believer or isn't a believer. I believe there is teamwork happening at all times. One, we are given our opportunities in life. We stumble upon jobs that open up, or we bump into the partner we're meant to be with, or we spark up a conversation with someone that leads to something, where the opportunities are what get us to the best possible positions, but those positions would not become yours without the actions that you must take. So I think at all times there's teamwork being taken place. Some people put all their thing on God. They say, God, you are 100% responsible for everything in my life. Some people say God has nothing to do with it. I make my own bed. I just see complete balance that both work hand in hand. If you did not get given your opportunity, you would not be able to take your action. And if you do not take your action, the opportunity should not have been given to you. You know, if you believe in God, then you know God has a plan for you. Then you know it is your responsibility to get to work, because God's plan will not come to life without your action. And if you do not believe in God, at least be grateful for the fact that you live the life you live and you're able to do what you do, because you do everything you do and you have everything you have off the backbone of what great people have done before you. We only are able to be as free and as happy as we are in the countries we live in because of the hard work and the effort that everyone else has ever gone through. Like, think about the fact that we wouldn't even be able to be sitting here as confidently as Australians if it wasn't for the hard work that the people before us have done by going to war, by going and sacrificing their own lives. We're able to live the life we live, you know? And we wouldn't be able to experience what we've experienced without the oxygen and the air and the sun and the water. And that's why I consider God to be real in my own life. So instead of looking at it by one narrow lens, it's all God or it's all me, it's so mathematically accurate to me that it's a teamwork. And I just don't know how many people fucking understand that as well. I don't have that conversation with people. I only hear one or the other. So I was already going to a little bit of a tandem rage there, but I fucking mean it. Anything else has been happening in my life lately? Like, I did speak about content, the fun aspect in which filming these Instagram videos are. I didn't really speak about the fact that what I do want to get to long term is the YouTube, and I want to start live streaming as well. There'll definitely be a time, hopefully by episode 200, where not only will I have a solo podcast, but I'll also have a weekly commitment, whether it be once, twice, 3, 5, or 7 times, where I do a live session. I think the best place would be at the gym. Just mic'd up at the gym, whether it be, honestly, it could just be on Instagram, could be on YouTube, could be on Twitch, whatever it's on. I'd like to be able to go live and be able to just spit shit, open up people to a bit more of the raw realness than who I am. But yeah, other than that, man, content's been one of the greatest things in the world. The greatest things. It's funny that when you do content, you do start meeting the people that you look up to, you know, like most people that I watch online, I got to be honest with you, I communicate with. There's obviously like your big people overseas or the really big Australians that just get flooded with hundreds and hundreds of fucking messages in an hour, let alone a day, that I don't have active communication with. But you do find yourself just talking to everyone. If I see people doing mad shit, I reach out and I say, you're doing mad shit. And then all of a sudden a conversation sparks up. And yeah, the people that you start to consider to be at least acquaintances, if not friends, then yeah, it's fucking strange, bro. It's fucking strange. You know, people that I've grown up my whole life being a fan of, having conversations with, like what? What the fuck is that, bro? What the fuck is that? But yeah, is there anything else that's been happening in my life a bit more recently? I've spoken about the fact that I'm going to be moving house at the moment. That's been pretty fun and exciting. Church and NAs and gym, they've been all my commitments as of lately, and that's been really good. A friend and I are actually starting a business together, which has been really, really cool. We're going to be dropping a clothing brand. I'm not going to be speaking much on what the clothing brand is or what it's called, but the reason why is because when it does come out, we're not actually revealing who the owners of the brand are. It's part of the theme and the vibe in which the brand is. So I'm not going to go into too much crazy detail, but this has been something that I've been manifesting for a very long time, you know, which is really, really cool. I've been wanting to have my own clothing brand for, oh man, I can't tell you how long realistically, 5 years hardcore or 10 years soft commotion. And nothing's ever felt right. Doesn't matter how many mock-ups and gimmicks and designs and samples or fucking tryouts I've done. Nothing's ever felt fulfilling. And this time it does. And it's always been something that I write down every single time I have goals. Every single time I write down my next chapter, my next vision. I write down this and I say, fucking clothing brand, a well-respected, well-reputable clothing brand. And it doesn't have to be fucking taken on Nike. It doesn't have to be taken on G'd Up or Front Runner. I just want to have a respectable clothing brand that I want to wear and people around me thinks it's a fucking good brand as well. And yeah, we're very, very excited to be doing this. So there's samples on the way. We've got some videos coming soon. And yeah, it's going to be really, really dope. So it's going to be a crazy chapter. It's going to be about a year, the foreseeable future, in which it's going to take to get to the level in which we want it to. But it's going to be a good year because the lad that I'm doing it with is a G as well. Outside of that, I'm just trying to think, 'cause I don't even know how long I've been yarning for realistically. One thing that's been on my mind a bit lately, I might as well use this opportunity to talk about this as well, is, how do I say this? Okay, well, all right. You see the word up here, the Doxcast. The Doxcast is exactly what it is. It's the Doxcast. I'm casting out my thoughts to the universe, whoever they land on, whoever consumes them, whoever hears them. It's not really anything to do with my control. I do not choose who listens. I do not choose who hears this. I just throw my thoughts out there and I have the conversations I have because I want to have them. I'm on a selfish personal journey of my own story, and I want to gain as much as I can by sharing what I have and learning from the people that I sit down with. The fact that people listen is only a net positive that comes with that. In doing so as well, I take this opportunity to be able to forecast things to the future. I'm very, very lucky in the fact that I have a diary that I write in every single week called the Doxcast, and it doesn't take any pen and paper or any typing. It's just sitting down and talking shit. And at any point for the last 3 years, I can go back, and I spoke about this in episode 100. I can listen to where I was at that time in my life and know exactly how I felt and be able to see the change that has come since then as well. So I'll use this opportunity to talk about, I'm going to just use this opportunity to be able to talk about a couple of things. So later on when I'm able to look back at this episode, I can understand where I was in this moment. But one thing that I've been really struggling with lately is making time for people. I have been blessed that I have so many fucking people in my life. I have so many friends. And as I just said before, it's because of the opportunities God has given me and the actions that I've chosen to run with since being given that opportunity. And I am responsible for the friends that I've got as well, because I've tried to be good to them as much as they've been good to me. But I'm fucking struggling to make time for people at the moment. And it's because I have a very, I don't know if I want to make this excuse, because I've been making this excuse this entire time that I don't have much free time left, but it might just be with the fact that I'm not making enough free time because yes, I have a lot of things that I try and do on a daily basis. And even inside of the things that I try and do for myself, I still struggle to find the time to do everything. But I could be making more time for the people that I want to be spending time with because I still leave time for a lot of room. Okay, there is still downtime. I'm not fucking David Goggins. I still watch me TV, me YouTube, and me Rick and Morty's or me Netflix docos or me fucking daily podcast episodes that come out. But there are people that I've been holding off having dinner with for months. There are people that I've been holding off training sessions with for months. There's phone calls that I haven't been having. There's barbecues that I haven't been hosting. There's check-ins that I'm not doing. And people are going through milestones and I haven't been there as much as I would like to for some of the people that have got me to the positions I'm in my life so far by being a part of my life. And I would like to, and I'm going to start taking more action on that, whether it be scheduling in once a week, catching up with someone again from the past that I haven't been spending much time with lately. But it is a difficult thing, you know. I know this is woe is me. I know this is fucking pretty privilege. I understand this is a first world problem, but when you get along with the people that you work with and the people you train with and the people that are in your surrounding little streets, it does take a lot more time and effort to be able to sit down with the people that you once went to school with and the ones that you once trained with or that you once podcasted with or whatever it might be. But it does become very, very difficult to be able to balance everyone that you gain in your life, especially when you're like me and you struggle with the idea of letting people go because you have an addictive personality and one's too many and 1,000's not enough. And that comes with friends as well. One's too many friends. He's hilarious. And that's very, very deep, realistically. The more you want to become self-progressive, the one's too many. But it's something that I'm definitely struggling with. So I'm hoping, and I will start trying to make more action. I will start making more action to change this moving forward because hopefully by the time that I can reflect on this, I felt like I've been able to engage with a lot more people than I'm engaging with now. But my circle's been very tight for a very long time. And I can't even necessarily say it's good, you know. Some people say they love keeping their circle tight. However, the tighter your circle is, the more room you have. People think that the more people you have in your life, the more room you have for betrayal. But I think betrayal's inevitable. I think people are going to let you down. People are going to say things you don't want to hear. People are going to make assumptions about you in ways that you don't want them to. And people are going to let you down with their choices that they're making in their own life as well, you know, and it goes both ways. So the more friends I have, the better I feel. The more people I have to be able to call in and check on and hang out with and exchange ideas with and motivate and tell me about the change. I love change. When someone tells me, bro, I've actually quit my job, I say, rah, what are you going to do? And they say, cuz, I'm thinking about trying this. I think, bro, that's so gangster. That's so mad. Like, please go give that a go. You know, I love people telling me they're moving house or they're having a baby or they picked up a new hobby. Like, I love hearing that. That's my favorite thing. I love hearing that other people are experiencing more of their own life. And that's what a blessing of what having a lot of friends does. And the problem with being so self-centered and progressive and focusing on yourself and trying to fill up your own cup is that, yes, you have more to give, but you really don't have much place to give it to, you know? So it's a constant balance. To be able to find what they call a work-life balance is an impossible task. And I think to be able to find a community-based balance of self-progression and sharing your experience is an impossible balance as well. It's going to be something that I continue to try and work on a bit more moving forward. Anything else that I've been thinking about lately? I guess I've been thinking, I'll tell you what I have been thinking of lately as well. I'm not too sure about this one, but I've been really, really thinking about it. And that's that I'm not really sure how much you can try and focus on yourself and have a girlfriend at the same time. You know, I don't really know if it's that possible to be able to do it. It might be wholeheartedly to do with the fact that I've been in some relationships in the past that have, one, been all about them, or two, been all about me, and then we didn't have the time for us. And for whatever reason, these relationships haven't worked out. I do struggle with the concept that I'm going to continue to be able to live my life how I want to live them, and have a girlfriend, which will turn into a fiance, turn into a family, turn into kids. And I'm definitely not writing off any of this shit. And you know what's crazy too is like I still make time for Huz as well. Like I still actively spend time with girls, but it's just the idea of committing to a relationship that makes me question whether or not that's something I'm willing to sacrifice. There's anything that I'm willing to sacrifice in order to make that happen. So I believe it's possible. Everything's possible. If I want something, I will be able to do it. There's no question that I believe that. So if the opportunity does arrive in the future and I'm looking back and thinking about this episode, and I'd like to be able to know that the balance is manageable. You know, yeah, he figured it out. I want to be able to look back at this episode and think, I see him trying to figure it out, and he did. Because that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But the pressure is something else as well. Like, I don't know. I'm curious as well if anyone else has any relation, because I do ask a bit of people this, and everyone does find commonality when I mention it. Is that do you feel pressure that you should have been a bit more further along than you are right now? Like, I'm 26 at the moment, going on 27, and I definitely thought that I'd be at least married, if not have kids by now, you know. And I have friends around me who are multiple kids in, first kids in, or about to have kids. And I'm kind of thinking to myself like, raw, that's so quick. Like they're the same age as me. Some of them are even older. And I'm thinking, bruv, like already, even though there's a deep desire and calling inside of me to be able to have children. And I want to have many. I want to have a big, beautiful family of fucking little terrors running around. And I want that. And I feel a pressure to have that, or at least be on my way to having that. However, when other people are having that, I get a bit anxious, you know, not anxious in a sense like, oh, fuck, maybe they're outshining me, or maybe I should be up to that point in my life. It's anxious for them. I'm like, bro, all right, if you're ready, then that's ours. And it's crazy because I've been in relationships in the past where we have been A, trying to have kids, B, accidentally have kids, or C, pregnant with kids, and then every time it hasn't worked out, you know, by blessings above anything else. So it's like I've been in that mindset before, but now that I'm not in that mindset, it's not what I want. So it might have something to do with the same, but I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, does anyone else feel like they should have been further along in their career or financial situation or maturity level? You know, like getting to the age in which you get to isn't what you thought it was when you were younger. I hit 19 and I stopped maturing. I stopped aging. I guess that's not really true. If I was to look back at a giant perspective outlook, I guess I'm definitely not the same person, but I don't feel like I'm anyone differently, if that makes sense. I feel the same. I remember getting to like 19 and thinking like, I don't feel the same as I did when I was 14, but I fucking am 26, turning 27. I don't feel any different than 18, 19. So that's fucking super fucking trippy, to be honest with you, realistically. It's crazy watching your friends have kids. So many of my friends that are having kids right now, I'm so happy for you. I know I just said I get a bit anxious for you, as I should, because I'm not expecting what you're about to go through to be an easy journey. And if it was an easy journey, then it wouldn't be something that I would respect and appreciate and admire so much. The fact that it's difficult is what's good about it, because the fulfillment that you're going to feel in this difficult journey is going to make it as beautiful as it is. But it's fucking cool. I think I mentioned something about that earlier. I think I mentioned the fact that the more responsibility you get, the more purpose you feel. That's definitely something that I've gained over my years so far, my long years, my mature, over the years. Fucking dickhead, like I'm talking like I know everything. I'm 26 years old. By the time I'm 30, I'm going to think right now I'm an idiot. But yeah, the more things that you do, the more responsibility you have, the more pressure, the more commitments, the happier you are. And that's just going out there to anyone that is wondering why they're fucking feeling like shit. Because you actually ain't doing enough. The more you do, the better you feel. Yes, it's a different feeling, getting burnt out, getting overworked, feeling stressed. They're different. It's a different type of feeling. And that can be pulled back and dived back into a bit more like self-care, meditation, sleep, healthy eating, and then go back to charging moving forward again. But most people feeling shit about themselves and purposeless and lost. It's a question that I ask every single week. I ask every single person at the end of every single episode. If someone was feeling depressed and they came to you, mostly because they were just lost, what advice would you give them? And I've heard some bangers. And I've heard 140 fucking different ones. But I think it's because they're not doing enough. You know? Someone told me one time the laziest thing you can do is get a job. I was so smart. That was so smart. Because people think that once you get a job, then you're fucking sweet. You know? But it holds a lot of people back. They never start their own business. They never travel the world. They never commit to anything big or go out and experience. And yeah, it's good to have your fucking work. You have to have a job. But that should just be the start of your journey of accumulation, you know? You go and you get your weekly paycheck. You go in, you do your hours, you collect your money for it. That should just be the start. That's some people's end goal. That's some people's finisher. That's some people's fucking life, you know? The laziest thing you can is get a job. I kind of have no idea how I just got to that after whatever it was I was talking about before. I completely forgot. I'm going to be real with you. Yeah, that's cool. But I guess I'm probably getting more towards the end, the later half of the episode. What are we up to at the moment? It's almost 3 o'clock in real time. It's probably enough yarning for me for today, guys. I just wanted to use this opportunity to talk about a couple things. One, the fact I'm so grateful for the entire journey of being the podcast. Every single person that has listened, liked, been a part of it, commented, been a part of the Instagram. Every guest that's come on in the past, everyone that's got me to the position on which I'm at today, which is just short of 3 years doing the podcast, you know. And I'm glad I'm doing this episode today because I'm not going to do a special one for 150 where it's a solo episode. I've got a commitment. I've got an episode that I'm really keen to do, as I mentioned before. Even though people told me to do a solo episode for 150. But I wanted to use this opportunity today to talk about a couple of things that's been on my mind. And one really, really important, massive milestone for me was 1,000 days sober. And that will be up this week. And I'm going to stay true to what I've been on this journey of sobriety because it has changed my life completely and evidently in every single way. So I'm very, very appreciative of the position I'm in. I'm looking forward to moving houses. I'm looking forward to the new chapters of the podcast when it comes to the monetization and the money and the aspect and the investment I'm going to be able to put back into the podcast for the deals I'm going to start making myself in the future. And yeah, there's been a couple of things on my mind, but everything I do is always try and look at from a positive lens. Just trying to get a couple of points across, and that's just enjoy the moment. We're in the good old days. We're always in the good old days. You're going to look back and look at them and smile, so you may as well start smiling now. Don't be so hard on other people when they are trying to work on themselves, you know. Just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean that they shouldn't do it, and just because you think they're insecure doesn't mean that they aren't already confident in what they're doing. And yeah, I would recommend content to every single person out there. Keeps you accountable. Definitely does. Sobriety's been a massive fucking journey. Church has been awesome. The commitments I have, the more responsibility, and a couple of things that I'm going to start implementing in my life a bit more. I'm doing it slightly, but I would like to start doing it more. So I'm about to a little bit more reading. Reading is great. I read every single day I can. I'm reading a book at the moment called Hyperfocus. All right, listen to this. Hyperfocus. How to achieve more by doing less. And it's crazy what I've fucking learnt through reading this book on how to achieve more. And that is that this book sucks and that I'm wasting my time reading it. It is not achieving more, and it is definitely doing more. It's how to achieve less by doing more, and that's read this book, okay? Look, the writer of this book has gone out on this big experimental journey of learning how attention works and focus and time management and all these things. And I've got to be fucking honest with you. I'm glad they did a study on it, but everything's obvious. All right. If you don't want to be distracted, there's so much examples in this book about turning your notifications off, putting your phone on airplane mode, fucking studying away from your fucking laptop, turning off your email fucking notifications. Like, there's so much fucking basic, boring shit in there. But one thing that I really took away from this book was that they did a massive study of over 12,000 participants over many different fields and many different studies. And they were trying to figure out what makes people keep their productivity and their brain operation to its fullest for the longest period of time. And so far, no study has ever shown that any task can improve memory and focus for a long enough period of time, except one thing, and that's meditation. Meditation has always been the only thing so far that is working that creates people clear-headed, open-minded, more accomplished, more productive, more focused, and more present. And to figure that out through this person's study, so I am very grateful for this book, even though I just rubbished it, I'm still grateful for this book. To figure out that that's the only thing that's been able to work has made me want to implement it more into my life, which I am. Before every single podcast now, I chuck on, even if it's a 5-minute or a 15-minute meditation. If I'm not podcasting, I'll try and do it, and I'll just find a comfortable place on the ground and just sit there and meditate there. But meditation is honestly a very, very helpful trick in your life. It doesn't just get you woo-woo and spiritual and self-centered and grounded and all these words people choose to use, right? If you don't feel comfortable using those words, even though I do, it helps you be more productive. If you want to be able to remember things better, if you want to feel like your day is flowing a lot smoother, it declutters your mind and allows you to focus on the foreseeable, front-facing priorities. All that other bullshit can just flicker away and ding, pop up, and you can pick that up later. Meditation is key. Meditation is key. So I'm going to start reading a bit more, meditating a bit more, praying a bit more. As I say, when it comes to praying, just saying my morning gratitudes and what they're good for. Spending a bit more time with friends, reaching out to people a bit better, focusing on my content a bit more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If I can just continue to maintain the life I'm living now, I'm going to continue to be happy for the rest of my life, because the life I'm living now is the life I want to live. And I hope that everyone else is as well. Yes, we are not where we want to be yet. We are not driving our Lambos. We are not purchasing our $5.5 million homes in fucking 5 Dock or by the waters. We are not on our private jets or even traveling business class. Most of us on our way to Dubai every other week. But we can still live the life we want to live now. The only reason we are here is to gain experience. Gain as much experience as you can with the people that you want to experience it with. Spend the time with the people you love and do the things that you want to be doing. If you're not doing either of those things, you're wasting your time. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for making it to the end of episode 148. Doxcast special with just myself. I got to go take a massive... I gotta go take a massive piss. I got a cough, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 149. That's a wrap.
Shawty catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a 2-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt.